Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by...
For over 30 years, Vanguard Outdoors has made the gear that turns a regular hunt into another fine day of field. We know that a good shooting stick or a nice pair of binoculars can make or break your day. Our design teams include serious hunters who work hard to bring you the best sporting optics, shooting sticks, tripods, bags, and more. We are Vanguard Outdoors.
Hello everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Silik and we have a great show lined up for you this week. Jordan's going to take us on a late season waterfowl hunt that happened just a few weeks ago. They were over in the Thumb area chasing after ducks and geese and they had a great time. You won't want to miss that story. And Jimmy's going to finish what he started on last week's show.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We have another segment on this week's show, and it is part 2 of our sit-down with Chad Stewart, the big game specialist for the Michigan DNR. And we are talking deer management, and all the questions are coming from you, the viewer. We're going to cover antler point restrictions, wolves, and a little bit of chronic wasting disease. So lots of hot topics you won't want to miss this week's show. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger, and it's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. The Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream. It's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by
Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's destination since 1988. Featuring varieties of homemade sausage, jerky, brats, and gourmet entrees. Holiday gift boxes can be assembled in-store or online. Details at countrysmokehouse.com.
By Showspan, producing consumer shows including Outdoorama at Novi's Suburban Collection Showplace. The show features tackle, trips, boats, outfitters, the trout pond, and of course, Big Buck Night. That's Outdoorama in Novi.
Mid-Michigan Ponds has been building and maintaining ponds and lakes throughout Michigan for nearly 25 years. We combine biology and heavy equipment to make pondscapes that are sustainable and fishable. More information at midmichiganponds.com.
So we're in southeast Michigan. It is the late duck splits for Michigan, southern zone. Out here in a chisel plowed cornfield. It's a wet one today. It's rained all week, but we're hoping to get some ducks and geese, and it's been a pretty good feed for 7 days. So we're hoping it's gonna be a good shoot with everybody. It's a bunch of family and friends, and a couple groups joined up today. So hopefully it's piles and smiles.
Tell me how many birds have been in here and a little bit about the spread.
So we got yesterday there was about 1,000 geese and probably 300 mallards. A few black ducks mixed in. The geese numbers have been slowing up a little bit, but they've been pretty steady. It was about 2,000 about a week ago. The spread, we're running fully flocked avians with fully flocked ducks out front, and then we have socks to the back to try maybe drawing them with a bigger spread behind us so we get this float over shots for the geese, since they were pretty much spread across this big field. So we're hoping it works out. It's a smaller spread than we wanted to, but it's pretty muddy and we couldn't get everything out, so we're hoping for the best. I hope the ducks just do it.
I hope they start pretty soon and don't all wad up.
We came here, we were parked at I think 8:10 or 8:15. There was already some geese in the field, and then the ducks just started coming yesterday morning. They started just coming. I mean, there's a one big wad of about 120.
Was there a big wad off the bat, or did they start
no,
first?
It was like 10s, 15s at first. Russ. Kill him, Russ. Kill him. Nice shot.
Right here. Hold here. That boy. Hold. Hold. Good. Good. All right, Kennel. Kennel. Good boy. We got one.
Light him. Got all four? Yeah. All right. That's better. It's going a little bit slower than we wanted to. The birds are not cooperating that well, and they're really not having been flying that much. Talked to a few other groups that are up inside the thumb. They're having the same scenario. I just think the weather change. We're gonna wait it out for a little while and see what we can do. I started waterfowl hunting back when I think it was legal to hunt. I think it was 14 years old, and been doing it with my grandpa. We used to go out to the marshes out at Harson's Island and some agriculture fields around the farm, and it was back when you only shoot 2 birds a person. These seasons weren't as liberal, and we used to love it. You know, we like eating it. Take almost every part of the goose and we eat it, even the liver. We make liver pâtés with it, and then goose legs are one of my favorite things to eat in the side of the world. So just kind of built up. We would only shoot, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 birds a year when I first started with my dad and my grandpa, and then we slowly built up to what we got now, a whole big rig, and we travel the whole state of Michigan, sometimes out of state and out of the country now. So it's kind of fun. Way more social, right? You're not sitting inside a deer blind quiet, and you're not only by yourself. You're talking, you're coming out, you see the guys behind us, they're all laughing and cheering, even though we didn't have the greatest hunt. We're always having a good time, you know, and that's what really is about, is family, friends, and being in the outdoors. So that's what we live for. So I hope everybody lives for out here and doing it. But the waterfowl hunting, it's getting tougher and tougher. There's a lot more guys that are really good at doing it, and they're getting a lot more fields. And it's fun, and we work together. Like today, we have another group out with us today. The old TCN Tornado Chaser guys, they're out with us, and we work good together, and that's what it's all about.
Although we weren't seeing as many birds as what the guys had expected, we were still getting a few and enjoying some quality dog work along the way. Something that doesn't happen by accident.
We run our dogs, or I train my dogs. Kenny does too. We train almost every day, all through the summer. We both belong to St. Clair Flats. I'm the president of St. Clair Flats, HRC. We run our dogs with a bunch group of people that love to run their dogs and hunt. That keeps them sharp, and then when we get to the field, we're not chasing our dogs around, or because we run with decoys, we run with a bunch of poppers. So we train 4 scenarios to come out here and be able to have a great hunt. There's sometimes I'd rather just watch my dog work and shoot. That's a bonus to shoot birds.
Kill those birds! Yeah!
As the morning went on, we did get a few more volleys, but compared to what had been in this field previously, very few birds showed up.
Yeah, so what we've been seeing here is probably right around 1,300 to 1,400 birds with ducks and geese. And today we've probably seen, I'm gonna go like maybe 300-400 geese and maybe a high end 75, maybe 100 ducks. Nothing was really working too much, too good. We had to change the spread a few times, move some stuff out, move some stuff closer, pull mojos, didn't pull mojos, but normally this late season is a little bit tougher to hunt, right? You're hunting birds have been shot at for the last 90 days. So it's, when you can get them to do it right, it's awesome. And then there's a lot of tough hunting, and today it's tough and wet.
Hunting the late duck split can be a little tricky regardless of the weather, but the wet and muddy conditions certainly didn't do us any favors today. But it was still a fun day in the field. Special thanks to Brandon and the crew for letting me tag along on a day of waterfowl hunting here on the east side of the state.
Well, we are here once again with Chad Stewart, big game specialist of the Michigan DNR. Last week we talked a lot about deer management here in the state of Michigan, and we're going to do that again. We're at a little deer camp here in Clinton County, and we have some viewer questions that you sent in via our Facebook page, so we're going to hop right in. Brad Garber wants to know, how about setting up some suburban deer hunts? Some New England states have done these programs. Chad, what's your response to that?
Yeah, would love to. We started trying to open the door for that option a couple years ago by extending the archery season in Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties through January, hoping that would facilitate some interest from different communities to try to do that. I'm part of an urban archery program where I live. I think it's a great model. I'd love to see more communities adopt it. Right now we're talking with several communities in places like Oakland County about some of the benefits of certainly deer management, and a great first choice option is getting archers into these places. So I'd love to try to move forward with these type of initiatives a little bit more. It's just a matter of trying to build that up and find willing partners that are willing to take that step with us.
Is that something the city itself would have to kind of push that forward?
The city typically selects that as sort of their management option if they're struggling with deer management. And then we can certainly work with them on ways on how to build that up. We can offer them advice and try to talk with communities that have done it before.
So Brad should talk to his city.
Yeah, talk to your city leaders. Have them get in touch with us. We'd love to be able to try to work with them on expanding this.
Okay. Randy Peterson, how about the possibility of lowering the price of doe tags if they would like to have more does taken?
Yeah, absolutely needs to be on the table. We're already starting to have these discussions. Look, we're government, we work slow, so things take time to try to go through these iterations. But I think that's one of the first things that we need to start looking at is these doe prices, and maybe making them a little bit cheaper, or trying to have some sort of bundling effect where you get sort of a 2 for 20, 3 for 25, something like that provides a little bit more value to the hunter.
2 for 1?
2 for 1 could work.
There we go. Mike Doyle, since APRs are on record to increase doe harvest, why stop them and why not incorporate into all CWD areas?
So APR discussion should absolutely be on the table. We know that they're extremely popular with a lot of hunters. We fully support. We've got the process in place to move forward with that. I'll be actually talking about that with our commission here in the coming months about that APR process and some of the things that a work group recommended changing. We talk about impacts to antlerless harvest. Typically what we see is a 1-year bump. Maybe it goes into the 2-year bump, but it's not a sustainable bump in terms of antlerless harvest. Furthermore, our researchers looked at, it was not involved in reducing any of the deer populations in those areas that we looked at. So the idea that APRs are increasing antlerless harvest, especially to the point where they're actually impacting our deer population in terms of total numbers, we just don't have numbers to support that.
David Dykowski wants to know, deer hunting has been on a downhill trend for several years in the UP, yet there has been no regulation changes to help. Are there any plans to make changes, or is the plan just to allow it to keep getting worse?
So I would disagree that we've not been making regulation changes in the UP. When I first came up here in late 2014, early 2015, we had some really bad winters up there. A lot of the same kind of narrative that's going on right now happened at that time, if you can recall. Very low deer numbers, very low deer harvest in that 2015 year. And we pulled back quite a bit on some different regulations up there. And to this day, throughout my time here in Michigan, we've not been able to take antlerless deer in places like the Keweenaw Peninsula, some of those western units with Gogebic, Ontonagon, and along that Superior shoreline. It's been very limited with antlerless harvest. And it hasn't caused the herd to rebound, because we hear the discussions right now that deer numbers are so low. So simply pulling back on terms of antlerless harvest has not created the desired effect, even going with 9 years of data to look at this. So we have made some changes. We've opened up certainly antlerless harvest in the south, where we know we have a lot of deer. Winters are certainly a lot more mild. We have limited antlerless opportunities in what we call sort of our mid-snow belt area of the UP. It really does not translate to a whole lot of meaningful, impactful harvest when you look at that on a per square mile basis. And we continue to have closed seasons for antlerless deer, even with archers, throughout much of the northern range and the western parts of the UP. So we've been very conservative with our deer regulations up in the UP, trying to facilitate some type of response. And you can see it hasn't occurred. So I don't think what's driving the deer herd to low numbers is a reflection of our regulations.
Ask him how many years of failed bovine TB management practices is required before they try something different here in the northeast lower Michigan. We were the first to implement no bait, and they have shown zero results in the reduction per capita in the herd.
So some of that's fair. So when we first started finding TB, we were finding it as, I believe, about a 4 or 5% clip. We've got it down to about 1 to 1.5% in 452, our core area. It's been pretty stable at 2%. So I'll disagree that we haven't shown any type of impact or benefit long term, because we started at about 5%, much higher. But I will agree, and that's a fair criticism, that we've sort of stagnated. We've been plateauing at that point. We are trying some new things. So we're working with USDA on a very localized sort of pilot vaccination study with bovine TB. So we know that, just changing deer regulations around is not going to solve this bovine TB issue. So we're trying to start to think outside of the box. We've got some researchers coming in that we're looking at a different vaccine delivery unit pickup that would limit the transmission potential with deer that are being picked up. So it's a study that's just getting started off the ground. It's actually going to start happening this winter.
How are they coming? Craig Postma wants to know, how are they coming on the wolf management plan? Is the plan ready to implement if and when they are delisted?
So wolf management's going way out on a branch for me. I'm trying not to go out that far. We've got a large carnivore specialist that can handle that. The wolf plan, to my knowledge, was finalized in 2022, I believe. So that is sitting there, and some parts of that are unable to be enacted on right now, obviously because of the federal listing with wolves. We can only do so much. I know
there's no depredation stuff either on those right now.
No, they're completely protected right now in Michigan. We've submitted comments to Fish and Wildlife Service. We want control of wolves in the state. I think our carnivore specialist has a plan for implementing and taking action on this wolf plan should they become delisted.
Okay, Stephanie Ray wants to know, make it make sense. I can use a 6.5 for coyotes day or night, but not for deer below the rifle line.
So Stephanie, I think, is talking about the limited firearm options, and really it's a matter of scale. How many coyote hunters are out there versus how many deer hunters are out there. Okay. Is what it amounts to. Individually, 1-to-1, there's no difference, right? It's just, I think the thought there is that there are so many different deer hunters going out at one time. We obviously have a densely populated area in southern Michigan that there has been concern expressed about expanding the firearm opportunities and what can be allowed in southern Michigan.
Kevin Vistison wants to know, why not make the youth hunt antlerless only? This could solve multiple issues.
Yeah, hi Kevin. We get this a lot, right?
Yeah.
Why isn't the youth hunt antlerless only? And certainly, so actually we have a question on our deer survey going out this year asking about preferences for what that youth hunt should look like. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Here's the thought with that topic, at least from my perspective, for what it's worth. Total contribution to the overall statewide deer harvest, the youth hunt, the Liberty hunt, is about 2% of our deer harvest. So it's just a small drop in the bucket. So it's not going to make an impact, at a statewide perspective. If you start thinking about this from does it shift culturally? You're telling kids to go out and just shoot an antlerless deer on that season. That season's only 2 days long.
Yeah.
So I think to me the question that should be asked is limiting them from taking a buck for 2 days out of the year in September, going to shift their cultural, or their mindset with how they view deer management for the rest of the year? Like if they go out on October 1st and shoot a deer with a crossbow, did you really change their perspective on anything?
Okay, a couple more for you. Dan Dale Darling, ask him if the Michigan DNR if Michigan deer hunting is better or worse under his watch. Are hunter numbers increasing under his watch? Did deer population drastically increase after he banned baiting? You won't ask, and he wouldn't answer if you did.
Well, you might have to repeat some of these. I don't know if I can. There's a couple questions there. Is it better under my watch?
Is it better or worse under your watch? Are hunter numbers increasing under his watch? Did the deer population drastically increase after he banned baiting? You won't ask, and he wouldn't answer if you did.
All right. Is it better under my watch? I don't know if that's for me to say, right? I mean, if I'm going to give
How long have you had the job?
9 years.
9 years.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
It's good enough for somebody to develop an opinion, right? I think there's some things that have improved and some things that need improvement. Okay, and if I'm going to grade myself, I'm going to give myself like an incomplete. Like there's more work to be done. Clearly. Okay, so what's the hunter numbers?
Are hunter numbers increasing under your watch?
So hunter numbers clearly are not increasing, but we've been on a steady decline for deer hunter numbers for over 20 years, and it's a trend that every state, certainly in the Midwest, is experiencing. Yeah. So this is a function of sort of a cultural shift that's happening in our state and in America. We're just losing hunters that are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, with very few hunters in their teens and 20s to backfill that number. So. Yeah. And then the baiting.
I don't think you banned the baiting.
Well, the bait ban took place while I was here. I mean, I don't have the authority to do anything on my own, right?
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, our deer population probably in many places is growing, but at the same time, we've been on that upward trajectory for quite a while. In southern Michigan. I think a lot of that goes into the conversation with a declining hunter base.
Brenton Rickett, what is with the absolute insanity of not being allowed to use a drone to search for a wounded animal? Why would they not want the hunter to recover the animal?
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I think it's, so we're following our law enforcement lead on that. I think there's a lot of concern with the use of drones to potentially locate non-injured deer and use that as sort of an advantage to taking an animal that's not wounded. So, but again, we're following some law enforcement division lead on some of that discussion.
Question to answer them. Okay, that is a very good question though. And then lastly, our friend Deadly Ted Nugent from Spirit of the Wild. Why does the Michigan DNR continue with their proven lies about the meaningless CWD knowingly hurting the great conservation families of Michigan?
So Ted and I are just never going to agree on this topic. But, we have to take a long view for CWD. We think that there's a potential to have long-term lasting impacts to management of deer. CWD moves very slowly at almost like a glacier speed. So you don't see those impacts right away, but you sit there and talk with individuals and biologists in Wisconsin, they've noticed a big difference in 20 years. So we just don't want sick deer on our landscape being reported, and we're going to try to limit the spread as much as we can. Sorry, Ted.
Well, you'll have to agree to disagree on that one.
We will agree to disagree.
Okay, well, Ted, we thank you for your question, and all of the viewers, we thank you for your question as well. And Chad, we thank you for sitting down with us, explaining your perspective as best you can. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jimmy. Always good talking with you.
Good luck this next deer season.
You too.
Thanks. Well, as you can see, deer management here in the state of Michigan is a very hot topic. It always has been a hot topic. It always will be a hot topic. And no matter what the topic is, whether it's baiting, antler point restrictions, chronic wasting disease, where we should have the opener of the gun season, whether it's on the 15th or the second Saturday in November, baiting, CWD, whatever it is, those are hot topics that have passionate people on both sides of the issue. And I think it's fair for us to let you know, and many of you do know this, But even if we convince Chad Stewart to adopt a $1 rule, to ban baiting, or to open up baiting, or whatever it might be, he does not make those decisions here in the state of Michigan. The people that make that decision, or those decisions, are the Natural Resources Commission, the NRC here in the state of Michigan. That is a 7-member panel appointed by the governor. So if you want to see real change made here in the state of Michigan, your best bet is not to fire off an angry email at Chad. Your best bet is to go to those NRC meetings. They're published on their website of where they're at. They're around the state. They're usually a monthly meeting, and you can have your voice heard there. And like I said, it's really hard to get a single deer camp to agree on what the deer management decisions should be here in the state of Michigan. So we will keep you posted on any changes that are made. And we sit down with Chad so that you can understand at least why they're making the decisions that they make, or at least why they're making the recommendations that they do. You may totally disagree with them. I disagree with a lot of them, but we just want you to know why they're making those decisions, why they're making those recommendations. So one more thing before we go. We are going to be doing a wild game dinner with our friends at the Wood Shop Social there in Mount Pleasant, where we do many of our recipes. If you'd like some more information on that, it's going to be at the end of February, February 29th. You can check out more information on our website, or actually on our Facebook page, I should say. And you can also call the restaurant there in Mount Pleasant and get some more information there. And as always, if we don't see you in the woods or in the water, hopefully you'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by.
Do you dream of somewhere bigger than your backyard? You can get there with Greenstone. Whether you want to hunt, fish, hike, or just watch the sunset, we're ready to help you own your place in the great outdoors. To learn more, visit greenstonefcs.com.
By Alta Equipment Company, providing sales, rentals, service, and parts because uptime matters. From earth moving to landscaping and light construction, Alta offers over 50 brands across 7 Michigan locations to serve you. More information online or 844-GO-2-ALTA. By SCI. SCI helps protect, promote, and preserve wildlife through conservation practices which include hunting. SCI supports and funds conservation programs in the state of Michigan. Learn more how you can get involved at a chapter near you.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine tree.